Hmm. Welcome all to day 5, Mastering the Art of Living. While I'm waiting, if anyone wants to join in, it's just interesting what happens. I notice over the last couple of days, it's interesting how you or I tune into this field of going live with you. And as soon as I press I'm live, I kind of get into this different state. As if I'm tapping into a field that is already there, recognizable for me. I even tend to believe it's connected to us all, as we have created as a group a field. And in that sense, it doesn't really matter whether you see me live or in the replay. You connect to the same field. Because time and distance and linear time is actually quite irrelevant when we talk about energy. Or when we talk about life. Because everything consists of energy. So life consists of energy, and there is actually no linear time. And there's actually no distance. But for humans in this human form to create a living together, we need this linear thinking and perceiving to understand or to cope with life, even to go through life. And of course, you can argue the physical distance, which is sensible and is absolutely there. But energetically, it's not. So when we're thinking when we think in physicality and matter, we also use distance. And time even. But that was not what I want to talk about today. That's actually funny that this comes up because every day in the past 4 sessions, so not the first session, but the days after, I wake up with a topic when I have my morning meditation and something comes up, and that appears to be the session of that day. And this morning I woke up with the topic of separation and oneness. And somehow that left me a little bit unsettled all day. And then this topic of energy came by, but I still feel it's about separation and oneness. So let's see what comes up. It's a really funny process. It's appearing within me. Separation comes up, and then this nervousness comes up. It's a very light one. And I just realized that why this is for me such a different topic than many others, because this has really been, and still is, the topics of separation, connection, oneness has been the core topic or the core path of my life. So I guess this one comes really close to me. It almost makes me feel emotional. Interesting. So what is this separation? This feeling of being separated? If you go through motions in life and you're not so aware of these terms of separation and oneness, then this probably doesn't ring a bell straight away. And loneliness might be the term that comes closest to the feeling of being separated, but it's a different one. So for me, feeling separated was something that started, the feeling of separation, I should say, I think in English. It started when I was really, really young, like this intrinsic feeling of not fitting in, of not belonging, of just being, just searching for connection and searching for another connection at a friend level or at a physical human level, but more like this true heart connection. And I guess I grew up in a family where that was less apparent, although there was much love and softness and kindness and space to grow in a certain way, but lots of freedom to explore things if we would like to. But this feeling of separated has nothing to do with the family sense of being not part of the family. It goes much deeper than that. It's this core feeling, and to me it's the core fear of a human being, and it's the 100% opposite of oneness, of just being completely, utterly alone at this world. And for me, that fear goes deeper than dying. I have no fear at all for dying. The only emotion that comes up when I think about dying for myself is that leaving loved ones behind, and the sorrow for not being able to live anymore, enjoy life and experience more things. But for the dying itself, I've never had any fear. I still don't have any fear for that. But I've had some, as they call it, dark nights of the soul, where you really are pulled deep down within, with when everything just collapses within, and you go back to your deepest fears, and then this I don't know the English word for that, but this essential, is that the word? Existentieel in Dutch. That core feeling of being separated, of being just pure by myself, and there was nothing there. No connection at all, nothing, no love, nothing. And it felt almost like no reason to live. never got that far, that I really felt like no reason to live, but it was like I could sense this feeling like of uselessness to live anymore. Luckily, the next day, all those deep dark nights of the soul look completely different the next day, and lots has obviously been cleared or cleansed during the night, or purged, or whatever you call it. And for some people that goes on days and days, and it does linger a few days after that in your system, but never as dark for me as those few one nights. I mean, those few nights, and then it only happened during the night when it was so dark. So what this is with humans, I began to contemplate on, that we might all have this fear of feeling separated, this feeling of separation, and I think we all long for this oneness. I think that's underneath each and every journey of us during life, whether we're conscious of it or not. We just long for this being of oneness with all, because going back to your natural, connecting to your natural state of being in its highest frequency, so in its purest form, you are all one with everyone. There is no separation, it's just all one field of oneness, which is limitless. And then you can only distinguish the human body, but even when you're in that state of oneness, pure oneness, which I've only perceived really during meditation forms, then when you get back into your physical body, you also kind of leave that state a little bit. So apparently as humans, we have to play with this search for oneness, and at the same time we are perceiving life most of the time in separation from each other and from life itself. So this feeling of separation comes in various sorry, I'm a little distracted. My daughter is coming in instead. So this feeling of separation is played out in various forms, and depending on your state of being, depending on your frequency, you're feeling more separated or less separated. And if you've ever given birth to a child, you might have had this experience of feeling pure one with someone, with your child, the newborn. And as a mother carrying the child for 9 months, you were one. So this process of giving birth is already the first step into separation. Luckily, it takes a while for the child, if he's taken care of and born in a very loving environment, it takes a while for the child to feel that separation, because it's so closely connected to the mother. And then I mean the heart connection, the connection of being. And the other, in my eyes, in my sense, striving for oneness is when we are looking for a partner in life, why we want to fall in love. Because if you experience this pure falling in love, then you experience at that moment like you've been completely one with your new loved one. It feels like the world can disappear, there's only the two of you. But then identity comes back in, and the mind comes back in, and then the play of the relationship starts. And we're going to project our lack of oneness within. We're going to project that on others, and especially on our loved one. Because we hope and believe that the other person can fill in that gap within us. And when you're in the higher fields, in the higher frequencies, and you're connected to your being, and you experience this field of love, perhaps not pure oneness, but at least this field of love, and then love with a capital L, this unconditional field of love. Then from that state, there's pure love for yourself as well. From that state, it's very easy to look at your lack beliefs and your limiting self, and the inner critic voice is hardly ever there, or not there at all. And it's all perfect. I mean, you haven't changed a bit. The identity is still the same, the flaws are still the same, but you don't experience them as a flaw anymore because it's all perfect. And that's how we keep getting in and out of those. It's this feeling of connected to love, very closely to oneness, and dropping back into feelings of separation. And these feelings of separation, that's the moment when the mind comes in and confirms what we talked about yesterday, I think, and confirms our limiting beliefs about our identity, or the critic about our identity. And instead of open ourselves up to oneness or to love, we do the opposite. We put up our fences with literally our defense mechanism to just not show this fear of feeling, this inner feeling of separation. Because opening up to that inner fear is too scary. So it's easy to cope with a defense mechanism and push people away or project our frustration to others than it is to be completely open and vulnerable and express our fear, even when it's the deepest fear of feeling separated. So this might be a topic which is a little bit further away from you, depending on where you are and how you can perceive this or receive this. But it helped me at the time to kind of get the picture, the bigger picture, what the search in life is for. And not that the search is a goal in itself, because we can step in this field of oneness and everything is solved in 1 second. If we would be willing to drop everything. But most of us can't. And that's okay. And it's also okay not to ever experience this complete feeling of oneness, because we're here in a human form, in a human body. We're here to experience life in different frequencies. Our world consists of different frequencies because we're all humans together, quite a lot of them, on relatively small space. At least most of the people will live closely together. And with the change in technology and change in development within humans and the change in the world in itself. So, like back in the old days when we were all farmers and hunters, we lived in close communities and we felt at least connected to each other because we were not aware of a bigger world out there. And now we're confronted as humans with this huge world out there, which gives a lot of information and a lot of anxiety at the same time, even unconsciously. And it's, in my eyes, it amplifies this feeling of separation. And that's why I think you see so many people drawn to messages of waking up, of raising consciousness, because we miss this feeling of being connected. And another thing you see happening a lot now is people reaching out for living back in communities again, living together, creating a small life together, like back in the old days, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago even. And with the defense mechanism, so if the feeling of separation is huge, it expresses itself in conflict and victimhood. Because in those low frequencies, we take these frequencies of we act in these frequencies as a victim, or we get into conflict with each other. To survive, actually. And from those low frequencies, our perspectives are very narrow. So we can only see our limited self and that what we're in conflict with. Or that what is projected on the outer world is like it's their fault. I cannot help it, I'm a victim here. And those two behaviors express in many, many different forms, very little ones, big ones, throughout the whole day. And it's interesting for myself that having had an easy youth with lots of friends, nice college time, found always nice working environment. So I always had lots of people around me I was friends with, or lovely relationships. It was really hard for me to feel connected. And now I don't need many people to feel connected because I'm connected already. I don't need people to feel connected. The only challenge where it plays out for me now is in my fresh new relationships of like 7-8 months. So I'm again challenged on my core challenge, my core fear in life of this what does it mean? separation, and what does it mean, being truly connected? And of course, I choose someone who lives far away. So the physical distance is very palpable, something to explore and to deal with. Isn't it really funny how you create what your biggest challenges? It's funny and it's beautiful because if you open up to it, you can grow. And that's what it's all about in my life. I just love to grow. Because with every growth, there's liberation. More liberation. So perhaps you can contemplate on this for yourself. How this feeling of separation played out in your life, if you recognize any of it. And perhaps you can look back at past relationships or your current relationship. And remember this feeling of oneness if you had experienced that. And unfortunately, some people haven't had so far. Because it also takes courage to completely open up to someone. It's very vulnerable. You feel very fragile. And the mind keeps playing with you to convince you not to do it because your mind is your protector. Your mind is kind of wired like if you experience once something that didn't feel well, was very emotional for you, very painful for you, it prevents you from experiencing that again. So it creates lots of thoughts. What if I open up and he leaves me? Or she leaves me? But what you're actually doing is opening up to yourself. Even in relationships, it's never about the other. It's always about yourself. And I think I will address relationships in a separate day, a little deeper than this. And then I mean the romantic, intimate relationships. And the same as a topic around parents. And this feeling of getting separated from your child when he grows up and creates his own life and identity. So life is quite one big paradox. We want oneness, but we have to reach it through separation. We have to create this identity for ourselves in order to survive in this human form, in this world. And then we keep searching for oneness. But that's what Earth is about. Duality. It's always black and white. Hmm. And what I've noticed with these sharings with you, it's a very healing method to openly share what happens, and even especially today, especially today, talking about a topic that is very close to my heart. It felt so liberating to share about it. And perhaps you can discover what your core fear in life is. Probably not far from the same themes: death, separation, not being loved. Just might have a different, slightly different angle to it. And one way to look at your fear is the opposite one. That one that makes you really, that creates a real inner excitement. So perhaps as a little exercise, you can think of a moment in your youth or in the past that there was a situation that you were not there, but you were completely in the moment of that what happened. And perhaps there are many examples of those moments that you're completely, fully there, fully present, and there's so much excitement. And for me, that happens when I see two people dance and really dance like they are dancing as in full connection. They're completely one with each other through the dance. And that to me is this feeling of being truly connected. And the opposite of that is being completely separated. So perhaps that little contemplation helps. If it resonates for you, to explore now. If not, it's fine. Leave it. So I'm coming towards the end of this session. Tomorrow will be an early one, 7:30. There are some early birds around amongst you who like to listen early. It might just be a very long meditation with a little guidance, because that's part of my early morning practice these days. again. I put it back into practice because it felt relevant again. And overall, reflecting back on the topics I've discussed so far or shared with you so far, I noticed that I'm kind of setting the extremes, kind of setting the outlines of what this mastering of living is about, the art of living is about. And I haven't planned it, but I assume it will get more practical along the way. But this is now how I feel I have to approach it. Now let me know if I go too fast or if it's there are topics you want to have more practical sharings about, or that kept lingering in your head, like, what does she actually mean with that? Just let me know in the group or share with others. Okay, I'll let you go and see you guys tomorrow.